Do you know what I hate? I hate time. Because once it's gone, you're never getting it back. So how should you spend your time? Well, I spend my time watching my own videos, and you should spend your time watching my videos too. But when you are taking the B2 First exam, you can't watch Smash English. And that's a terrible thing. So, if you can't watch Smash English during your B2 First Cambridge exam, the question remains, how should you spend your time? Well, I'm going to tell you how to manage your time during your B2 First Cambridge exam in this video. So, let's go. The B2 First exam is in 4 parts and, well, I hope you already know that. These 4 parts are reading and use of English, listening, writing, and speaking. In total, the exam is 209 minutes long, and yeah, that's a lot of minutes. For reading and use of English, you have 75 minutes. For listening, you have about 40 minutes. For writing, you have 80 minutes. And for speaking, you have 14 minutes. Or, if you are in a group of 3, about 20 minutes. And so, let's talk about how you should manage these minutes in each individual part of the exam. However, we're not going to talk about speaking today. No, if you want to learn all about the B2 First speaking exam, I have a whole playlist about it right here. But don't go now, go at the end of the video, and then watch every video twice, okay? Right, brilliant. Let's go. The reading and use of English paper is 75 minutes long, and it is split into 7 parts. Parts 1 to 4 involve you choosing correct words, changing the forms of words, or manipulating and creating sentences. And these parts are commonly referred to as the use of English section of the B2 First exam. However, you should probably know that part 1 of the B2 First reading and use of English paper is actually part of the reading exam, but that's just to confuse you. For this video, we are going to call parts 1 to 4 use of English and parts 5, 6 and 7 reading, just because it's easier that way, okay? Okay. Now, here is how I suggest you organize your time. Do the paper in order. So do part 1, then part 2, then part 3, then part 4, then part 5, then part 6, then part 7. Give yourself 30 minutes to do parts 1, 2, 3, and 4. Basically, spend your first 30 minutes on the use of English part of the exam. This will then give you 45 minutes to do parts 5, 6, and 7, the reading parts. This translates to 15 minutes per reading part. So give yourself 15 minutes for part 5, 15 minutes for part 6, and 15 minutes for part 7. Then, if you finish early and you find that you didn't need 45 minutes, you can go back and focus on any use of English questions that caused you problems in your first half an hour. I give you this advice because often students will spend lots of time at the beginning of their exam on use of English questions that they don't know the answers to. This then stops the students from answering reading questions later on that they do know the answers to because they didn't have enough time to read properly. Please don't make this mistake. Give yourself 30 minutes for parts 1 to 4 and then 45 minutes for parts 5 to 7. If you finish parts 5 to 7 in under 45 minutes, you can go back and double check your use of English answers. Got it? Good. Listening is approximately 40 minutes long, and the listening exam ends when the recording ends. So you cannot do a lot to manage your time. However, there are some things that you should know. For part 1, you have 8 questions, and in the recording, each speaker will be preceded by a context sentence that you will hear. You will then be given about 5 seconds before you hear the recording to read the question and the options available. Please use this time. Some students daydream, and that's just ridiculous. You will then get to listen to each recording twice, and each recording is about 30 seconds long. In total, part 1 of the listening exam tends to be about 12 minutes. For part 2, you have a longer text. You will hear a context sentence again, and then you will be given 45 seconds to read everything. Again, stop thinking about me in this 45 seconds and instead do your best to read everything, and if you can, generate some predictions. The recording is usually about 4 minutes long. Of course, you get to listen twice, and part 2 usually lasts about 10 minutes in total. For part 3, you will hear the question you need to answer, and then you will be given 30 seconds to read all the options available to you. Each speaker will talk for about 30 seconds, and of course, you will listen to all of them twice. However, this is not like part 1. You will not hear speaker 1 twice, and then speaker 2 twice, and then speaker 3 twice. No! Instead, you will listen to speaker 1, speaker 2, speaker 3, speaker 4, and speaker 5, and then you will listen to speaker 1, speaker 2, speaker 3, speaker 4, and speaker 5 again. Part 3 tends to be the shortest part. It usually lasts for about 8 minutes. Part 4 is one long interview with 7 multiple choice questions that you need to answer. Again, you will hear a context sentence, you will hear some instructions, and then you will be given 1 minute to read all the questions and all of the options. Yeah, that's a lot of time, but it's a lot of time because there is a lot of text. The interview itself is about 4 minutes long, and yes, again, you will listen twice. In total, part 4 lasts for about 10 minutes. Now we have reached the end of the test, but you are not quite finished. If you are taking a paper-based B2 First listening exam, then you will be given 5 minutes to copy your answers from your question paper to the answer sheet. Yeah, remember that during the exam, you should be writing your answers on the question paper, and then at the very end, you will be given 5 minutes to copy your answers from the question paper to the designated answer sheet. And if you have taken a computer-based exam, you will just be given 2 minutes at the end to go back and check your answers. Whew, Cambridge, so generous. And yeah, there we have it. That's another 40 minutes of your life gone. Closer to death with every second. The writing paper is the longest paper in the B2 First Cambridge exam, but it has the fewest questions. Wow, isn't that amazing, right? The B2 First writing exam is 80 minutes long, and there are 2 parts. For part 1, you must write an essay, and then for part 2, you can choose. You could write a letter or an email or a report or an article or a review, and if you're taking B2 First for schools, you could write a story. I want you to keep this simple. I want you to cut your time in half. Give yourself 40 minutes for part 1 and 40 minutes for part 2. But most importantly, give yourself about 10 minutes in part 1 and 10 minutes in part 2 to plan. Yeah, be a man and plan. No, be a girl and be a human and plan. If you don't plan, you will have problems and your organisation will suffer. Seriously, you should know what you're going to write before you start writing it. And the only way to do that is to plan. So give yourself about 10 minutes for part 1 and 10 minutes for part 2 to understand exactly what you're going to write and how you are going to structure and order your ideas. If you want to learn all about how to plan a B2 First essay, then there's a video about it right here. And if you want to learn everything about part 2 of the B2 First writing exam, then I have a whole playlist about that, and that's in the description. So that's 10 minutes to plan part 1, and then 30 minutes to write part 1, 10 minutes to plan part 2, 30 minutes to write part 2, and then you're finished. And that is how to manage your time during the B2 First Cambridge exam. Now, I'm going to wait for a video from one of you telling me how to manage my time during my daily life, because honestly, I'm a mess. If you liked the video, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment down below. My name is Toby, and this was Smash English.